Hey everyone, how's it going? This is Max from CryptoPotato.com, and today I'm going to be doing a full evaluation of COTI, or Currency of the Internet. So, let's get right into it. COTI, or Currency of the Internet, aims to build a decentralized and scalable payments network to facilitate efficient global commerce, combining distributed ledger technologies with traditional payment solutions. COTI aspires to set a next-generation decentralized payment solution that is trust-driven, instant, and cost-effective. COTI sets itself apart from other payment solutions by providing a thorough solution that consists of innovative trust mechanisms, decentralized mediation system, multi-currency wallet, which is fiat and crypto, and native currency exchange. The driver of the COTI ecosystem will be the COTI coin, a native digital currency. COTI's distributed ledger is based on a directed acyclic graph, or DAG, D-A-G. Data structure similar to the underlying technology of IOTA network. It will allow 10,000 plus transactions per second, much more than is needed. Visa's peak hours requires 4,000 transactions per second. The team, which consists of 27 full-time members, is hard working on COTI and has been laid out in a detailed structure for their future network. COTI is to raise around 30 million US dollars via a private and public coin offering. They have already attracted a large and dedicated community and have already successfully raised around 10 million US dollars in their private sale. Now, let's talk about the problem that COTI is trying to solve. Despite the intense competition within the online payment industry, neither digital currencies nor traditional electronic payments has yet introduced a comprehensive solution for the online payment industry. While traditional online payment systems such as PayPal or Visa have the ability to scale high volume of transactions with fast execution time, they represent major drawbacks in terms of transaction fees, mainly in cross-currency and cross-border transactions. On the other hand, digital currencies could represent an alternative, as they have the potential to facilitate payments with greater security and lower transaction fees. However, in practice, they face scaling challenges, low rates of adoption in the context of online payments, and their price is very volatile. In fact, to date, only less than 0.1% of the online payments are made using digital currencies. To solve the mentioned problems, COTI network was designed with the goal of creating a decentralized payment network that will integrate the benefits of both traditional payment systems and digital currencies. The COTI ecosystem comprises of 6 components outlined in this slide. Let's turn to them and briefly explain them one by one. First, the cluster. Instead of using a blockchain-based database, COTI's distributed ledger is based on a directed acyclic graph, DAG, which I mentioned earlier, which they call the cluster. In DAG-based networks, each transaction must validate 2 previous transactions in order to be confirmed, meaning that the transaction confirmation rate is increasing in accordance with the rising in the numbers of the network users. The DAG enables users to connect transactions simultaneously and asynchronously, and thus to achieve a high transaction confirmation rate of 10,000 TPS. To keep things in perspective, Visa handles on average around 2,000 TPS, while its daily peak rate is around 4,000 TPS. Now let's talk about the trust scoring mechanism. COTI has implemented another layer of data on every user, the trust scores. These scores are the key mechanism by which new unconfirmed transactions select prior transactions to validate in order to reach transaction confirmation consensus. But how do we determine these trust scores? Well, a participant's trust score is initially determined by a general questionnaire and document verification. In the course of time, the trust scores will automatically be updated in accordance to the user's activeness, the amount of dispute that the participant has been involved in, the number of disputes that are resolved in favor of the participant or counterparty, And finally, the rating that other transaction parties have assigned to the participant. The trust scores simply provide an indication of how participants rank relative to one another within the COTI network, as measuring by their contributions to the network's efficiency over time. To incentivize users to gain trust scores, COTI designed the scores to be associated with the transaction fees. High scores are associated with low fees, while low scores are associated with comparatively high fees, as well as with merchants' rolling reserve requirements. Now let's talk about the confirmation process. Let's start by walking through an example to understand the rationale. To be added to a cluster, the new transaction, the bold one, must validate two transactions which are in the range of its trust score. In flow of time, the transaction is being confirmed by the path of the highest cumulative trust. The cumulative trust is in bold, and the path of the highest cumulative trust is highlighted in green. Meaning that trusted users, or those with higher trust scores, are incentivized by optimized transaction confirmations, as their trust chains can reach the required cumulative trust score threshold faster. Now let's briefly touch on the mediators. Mediators are simply taking responsibility if disputes arise within the network. They are required when one of the following scenarios occurs: billing errors, inadvertent transfers, when a user inadvertently sends funds to the wrong party, unauthorized changes, undelivered goods and services, and non-conforming goods or services. In each of the above scenarios, if the sender and receiver of the funds are unable to resolve the dispute directly, the unsatisfied party can initiate mediation. Each dispute involves few or even several mediators who work independently to validate real-world information regarding the transaction disputes. After the mediators validate the information, they can cast their vote using the mediator client. Along with their votes, the mediators deposit COTI coins. The votes are then calculated, and based on the majority of the votes, the system compensates the winning party and returns the party's balance to its rightful state. The mediators that their vote are consistent with the majority of the votes will be remunerated by the COTI network for their efforts. Mediators who choose to act maliciously will not be subject to any sanction, but rather they will lose their deposited coins, and those coins will be used to pay for the other mediators. Let's get into the currency exchange. To provide an easy-to-use payment solution, COTI is developing a currency exchange that provides network participants with continuous access to liquid markets in a range of digital and fiat currency pairs, meaning that end users will be able to transfer their holdings from one currency to another without having to withdraw their holdings from the COTI wallet. Moreover, it will allow network participants to pay and receive funds directly in whichever currency they wish, regardless of their counterparts' preferred currencies. Now let's touch a bit on wallets. COTI's main consumer offering is a multi-currency wallet that provides instant and easy access to the COTI payment network and supports a variety of consumer payment use cases. COTI wallet can further be used simply as bank accounts for the purpose of holding funds, both digital and fiat currencies. The COTI wallet is being developed as a native mobile application and as a web application accessible via COTI's website. Users will be able to open wallets via the COTI website and applications, as well as during the checkout procedure on the COTI-powered merchant websites. Now let's touch on debit cards. COTI is offering users access to debit cards that link directly to COTI wallets. The rationale for offering these cards is that they will enable users to effect payments from their COTI wallets when dealing with merchants that they have not yet integrated with COTI. COTI users will be able to specify their preferred currency each time they create a virtual debit card. When a purchase is made using a card linked to a currency that does not match the payment currency, COTI's exchange will automatically convert the required amount of the card linked currency to the purchased currency. COTI's native currency drive the networks and fuel the interactions between consumers, merchants, mediators, and node operators. The currency will serve the following functions. First, It'll be a medium of exchange that can be used when making and receiving payments in the COTI ecosystem. While the COTI network supports multiple fiat and digital currencies, participants are incentivized to use COTI over their currencies for its efficiency as a payment method and low to zero transaction fees. Next, mediation. Mediation stakes and payouts are denominated in COTI coins. As such, mediators are required to hold COTI coins whenever they wish to engage in mediation. Next, merchant rolling reserve. Merchant rolling reserve funds are denominated in COTI coins and automatically accumulate in the merchant's account for a defined term. Next, incentives for node operators. All node operators will be incentivized in COTI coins and will be required to hold COTI whenever they wish to validate node activity. And finally, fees. All the COTI network fees can be paid solely with the COTI coin. Now let's speak a little bit about the team. The core team consists of 27 full-time members, but let's dig into some individuals. First, Shachaf Bar-Giffen, who is the CEO. Shachaf is the co-founder and former CEO of Web3, a leading multinational digital marketing firm. Shachaf holds a BS degree in biotech and economics from Tel Aviv University. Next is Yair Levy. He is the head of operations. Yair was the former CEO and finance director at the Plus 500 UK. He has also held previous roles in financial planning and valuation strategy. Next up is David Asraf. He's the co-founder, Business Development. David previously served as the chief internal auditor at HSBC Israel and as an examiner in the credit risk unit of the Bank of Israel's Banking Supervision Department. Next is Dr. Matthew McBrady. Matthew was the chief investment officer for the multi-strategy hedge fund platform at BlackRock. He has held senior roles at Silver Creek Capital and at Bain Capital. Matthew holds a PhD in business economics from Harvard University, and he was a professor of finance at the Darden School and Wharton. Next, Greg Kidd. Greg is the co-founder of Hard Yaka and an early investor in numerous startups in the exchange space, including Ripple, where he served as CRO, Shift, Coinbase, and 3Taps, and previously Square and Twitter. Greg holds an MBA from Yale University and MPA from Harvard University. And finally, Stephen Helbron. Stephen has served as the global head of private banking and joint CEO of an invested tech bank in London. Now, let's talk a little bit more about the token itself. First, let's talk about the token economy. Initially, an ERC20 token will be issued for the purpose of providing an official record of tokens sold. Following the launch of the COTI mainnet, the ERC20 tokens will be converted into tokens issued on the COTI network's transaction ledger. The ERC20 tokens are expected to be listed on at least one major exchange no later than the end of September 2018. Next up, token allocation. The total supply of COTI tokens during the formative stages of the network will be limited to 2 billion COTI tokens. These tokens will be allocated in accordance with the chart outlined in the slide. For the token sale, there's 30%. The hard cap is $30 million US. This covers the private and public sale. A lockup period of 6, 12, or 24 months is required for the private sale. Next, 22% will be put in reserve. This will be used to fuel the development and stability of the COTI ecosystem. COTI holders may be able to acquire future releases of COTI from the reserve at a discount to the market rate. Next, the team will receive 15%. These tokens will be locked up for the first 6 months and then released proportionately every quarter. Next up, 10% will go to backers, partners, and advisors. After that, 13% will be used for incentive programs for merchants and users. Incentive programs for partners, validators, merchants, and users that is intended to support the COTI network and encourage early adoption. After that, 10% will go to liquidity. This provides liquidity measures to support a thriving COTI market. Now, let's talk a bit about the lockup mechanism. Private sale contributors must commit to a lockup period of 6 to 24 months on 50% of their tokens, while the team, early backers, and advisors must commit to a lockup period of 6 to 24 months on the entirety of their tokens. The discount rate is relative to the vesting time. 6 months is 5%, 12 months is 10%, and 24 months is 20%. These discounts are in addition to the discounts given during the private and pre-ICO rounds. Next, token supply. Due to the directed acyclic graph, which I spoke of earlier, DAG structure, the decentralized nature of the COTI network, it will not be possible for additional COTI tokens to be created following the Genesis transaction. Therefore, an additional 2 billion COTI coins will be created and locked in reserve, so the maximum supply of the tokens will be 4 billion. These tokens won't be released before the COTI's mainnet launch, and they will be subject to harsh restrictions. According to the team, COTI may occasionally initiate additional token sales from this reserve. Now, the private sale. COTI is in the middle of a private sale during which COTI tokens are being made available for institutions and individuals. The price during that round is 0.079 per COTI, and the minimum contribution is $50,000 or equivalent. The public pre-sale will provide whitelist members of COTI's community with early access to COTI tokens. More details will be announced soon via COTI's social channels. This sale is scheduled to commence in April 2018. The price during the round will be around $0.083 per COTI. And finally, the public sale. The public sale will be carried out in 4 tranches, each of which will have an equal allocation. The public sale is to commence shortly following the conclusion of the public pre-sale. The price will vary from $0.087 per COTI during tranche 1 to $0.100 per COTI being the maximum price. COTI has recently updated their roadmap and will launch an AlphaNet during Q3 of 2018. The AlphaNet will be performed by 10 nodes, and it will be consisted of the following: chargeback mechanism, buyer-seller protection, a few merchants, wallet beta, and mediation system, also in beta. The testnet is expected to be launched during Q4 of 2018 and the mainnet during Q2 of 2019. Now let's get into the pros and cons of this project. Let's start with the pros. First pro, there is a comprehensive decentralized payment solution. COTI was developed exclusively to satisfy daily consumer payments use cases, and it indeed provides a thorough solution that addresses properly the market need and solves concurrently the major concerns of consumers and merchants. Aside from the regular benefits in terms of scalability, decentralization, security, and low fees, COTI also provides an additional trust layer, hedging services to address the volatility, and an integration with a native wallet and native currency exchange that provides a convenient, easy-to-use solution. The next pro is project potential. The project's targeted market is the online payment industry, a huge and growing market. We believe that the advantages of the future COTI payment networks are beneficial enough for it to successfully penetrate as a legitimate payment service provider and therefore to capture a sizable market share. COTI addresses a tangible market needs that neither of the current payment systems have addressed, and thus, despite the intense competition, the project potential seems high. But let's touch on a con. Currently, COTI is in its early stages. Though an AlphaNet will be launched soon after the token sales, for the network to achieve full scalability and usability, a wide adoption of merchants, market makers from the hedging service, and mediators should be achieved. Such adoption will not occur before the COTI's mainnet launch during Q2 of 2019, more than a year of me making this video. Here at CryptoPotato, at the very end of all the evaluations, I go through a few steps that we feel are crucial for a successful project. I'm going to go through and tell you the rating score that I'm going to give to COTI for each of these, and then I'll give my final score. So let's start with team and advisory board. The COTI team and advisors are comprised of individuals with extensive experience in payments, cryptography, and financial service domains. So we're going to give them a score of 8.5. Next, the stage of the project. It's relatively early. Although an AlphaNet will be launched soon after the token sale, the testnet will be launched during Q4 of 2018 and the mainnet only during Q2 of 2019. So we're going to give them a score of 7.5. Next, project potential. COTI aspires to evolve into a widely adopted payment service provider. Considering their innovative mechanisms along with its comprehensive solution, we believe that they indeed have the potential to achieve some of their objectives. So we're going to give them a score of 8.5. Next, community and media. They have around 13,000 Telegram members, just about 12,000 Twitter followers, and around 6,000 Facebook followers. So we'll give them another score of 8.5. Next up, token use. COTI coin will be used for network fees as well as to incentivize network's participants to contribute to the network. It's important to note that COTI's success doesn't depend on COTI native currency being widely adopted. So we'll give them a score of 9. Next, the ICO. The hard cap is around 30 million US dollars, with 10 million of those dollars already raised via the private sale. The bonuses during the private and pre-ICO rounds are reasonable. Half of the tokens sold during these rounds are subject to lockup mechanisms. So we're going to give them a score of 8. Next, white paper. It is a very detailed white paper, clearly represents the need, the problem, and the solution. The white paper also provides very detailed numeric examples. Aside from the white paper, COTI also published a detailed technical white paper and token economy summary. So we'll give them a score of 9.5. And finally, backend and technology. The cluster, multi-currency wallet, currency exchange, innovative trust score engine, and the mediation system. So we're going to give them another score of 9. All around, us at CryptoPotato give the COTI ICO a score of 8.4 out of 10. And that is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this evaluation, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you'd like to find out more about this project, you can click on our site for the full written evaluation as well as a link to their website. Thanks for watching.